You have crafted your own success through nothing but sheer determination and unwavering commitment, and now the world around you is finally beginning to take notice of what you have accomplished. What so many people overlook or fail to truly comprehend is that this magnificent transformation was never something that simply fell into your lap by random chance or fortunate circumstance. This was not luck. This was not destiny handing you gifts without effort. No, this was something you deliberately built with your own two hands, brick by brick, day after day, through fierce determination, unshakable consistency, and the relentless, tireless pursuit of the goals you set before yourself. There were countless moments along this journey when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm you completely. There were nights that stretched endlessly into the early morning hours, filled with doubt and weariness. There were days that felt impossibly heavy, as though the weight of the world itself rested upon your shoulders. The path was neither smooth nor easy, and there were times when it would have been far simpler to surrender to discouragement, to let the difficulties win, to simply give up and walk away. But you did not choose that path. Instead of giving in to the voices of doubt and despair, instead of allowing frustration to consume you, you made the conscious decision to channel all of that energy into something far more productive. You poured your heart, your mind, and your spirit into personal growth and self-improvement. You made a profound and life-altering choice to shift your entire focus away from the old pattern of depending on others for validation, approval, or direction. You stopped looking outward for someone else to tell you who you were or what you were worth. Instead, you turned inward and made the courageous decision to invest wholeheartedly in yourself. By working tirelessly and dedicating yourself completely to your own goals and aspirations, you began to heal the deep-rooted patterns of codependency that had once held you captive and prevented you from reaching your full potential. Through this process, you discovered something invaluable and transformative. You discovered the extraordinary power that comes from standing firmly on your own 2 feet, independent and self-sufficient. And in doing so, in claiming that independence for yourself, you unlocked a version of yourself that had once existed only in your dreams and deepest imaginings. You became the person you always knew, deep down, you were meant to be. This monumental decision to live your life entirely on your own terms, to forge your own path and write your own story, was not made lightly or impulsively. It required tremendous courage and self-awareness. For a long time, perhaps even years, you may have carried the crushing weight of other people's expectations pressing down upon you. You may have felt the constant temptation to lean on external support systems, to rely on others to carry you through difficult moments, to let someone else take responsibility for your happiness and success. But somewhere deep within your soul, in that quiet place where truth resides, something within you knew with absolute certainty that genuine freedom could only arrive when you made a fundamental change. You understood that true liberation would only come when you stopped living at the expense of others, when you stopped draining their resources and energy, when you stopped using them as crutches to support yourself. You chose instead to enjoy your life with your own resources, built through your own efforts, sustained by your own resilience and inner strength. That single choice did not merely liberate you from the chains of dependency. It also created something unexpected and powerful. It created a mirror for those around you, particularly for your partner, who began to see their own reflection in the independence and self-sufficiency you embodied so naturally and authentically. Your partner could no longer turn away from or ignore the uncomfortable reality of how much they had been relying on others, not just for occasional help or support, but for virtually everything. They had become dependent on others for decision-making, for emotional stability, for validation, for direction, for their very sense of self-worth. This realization, when it finally came, was far from easy for them to accept or process. It was painful and unsettling. It forced them to confront the deeply uncomfortable truth that they had been allowing codependency to shape and control their entire life. They had grown so accustomed to leaning on others, so used to having someone else carry their weight, that they had almost completely lost the ability to trust themselves. They had forgotten how to make choices without being paralyzed by fear. They had stopped believing in their own capability, their own strength, their own worthiness. Watching your personal transformation unfold before their eyes was like experiencing a sudden and jarring wake-up call for them. And here's what was so powerful about your approach. You did not need to point accusing fingers at them. You did not need to lecture them about their unhealthy patterns or shame them for their dependency. You did not need to criticize or condemn. Instead, your actions spoke far louder and far more effectively than any words ever could. By reclaiming your independence with such grace and determination, by demonstrating what it truly looked like to thrive on your own, to flourish without needing constant support from others, you revealed to them the unhealthy and destructive cycles they had been trapped in for so long. And perhaps even more importantly, you gave them something precious and life-changing. You gave them hope. You showed them that healing was not only possible but achievable, that transformation was within their reach if they were willing to do the work. From the very day they first met you, something subtle but significant began to shift within their consciousness. They started to feel an urge rising up from deep inside, a growing and persistent desire to build something solid and stable in their own life. Not something that depended on the generosity or patience of others, but something rooted firmly in their own hard work, their own dedication, their own commitment and perseverance. You sparked within them the courage to believe, perhaps for the first time in their adult life, that they too could stand strong as an individual. You helped them see that they too were capable of independence, of self-reliance, of creating a life they could be proud of through their own efforts. This was not about achieving instant perfection or undergoing some miraculous overnight transformation. Real change does not work that way. Instead, this was about planting a seed of growth deep in the soil of their consciousness, inspiring them gradually to take responsibility for their own path, their own choices, their own future. For perhaps the first time in a very long while, they began to envision a version of themselves that was not hopelessly entangled in codependency and neediness, but rather firmly anchored in self-sufficiency, resilience, and inner strength. Together, you and your partner have come to recognize just how profoundly transformative this entire journey has been for both of you. This is not merely about small, superficial changes or minor improvements in behavior. This is about genuine, deep, fundamental growth on absolutely every level of human existence. Mentally, both of you have dramatically expanded your perspectives and ways of thinking. You have learned to see the world and yourselves in ways you could never have imagined before this journey began. You have developed new ways of processing information, making decisions, and understanding the complexity of life itself. Emotionally, you have both gained a completely new depth of strength and stability, the kind that comes from breaking free of unhealthy reliance on others and cultivating true inner balance and equilibrium. You have learned to regulate your emotions, to process difficult feelings, to face pain and fear without running away or seeking rescue from outside sources. This emotional maturity has transformed how you navigate relationships, challenges, and life's inevitable ups and downs. Physically, the dedication you have both shown to building your goals and sustaining your independence has likely influenced your discipline, your daily routines, and your entire lifestyle in ways that strengthen not only your body but also your spirit. When you take control of your life, when you commit to personal growth, it shows up in how you care for yourself physically, in the habits you form, in the energy you carry with you each day. And financially, the shift has been equally powerful and undeniable. By taking complete ownership of your life and refusing to remain dependent on others for your material needs and security, you have opened doors to stability and abundance that would never have been remotely possible if you had continued relying on others to provide for you or support you. Financial independence is not just about money. It is about freedom, dignity, and the ability to make choices based on what is right for you rather than on what you can afford or what others are willing to give you. What is perhaps most beautiful and moving about this entire transformation is that it has turned you into the kind of person you once only dared to dream of becoming. There was a time, not so very long ago, when this version of yourself felt impossibly far away, distant and unattainable, like a fantasy that could never become reality. But through unwavering perseverance, through the difficult and often painful work of healing, and through an unshakable belief in the possibility of growth and change, you have become that very person. You have stepped into the vision you held for yourself. Your partner, too, is learning to walk their own unique version of that path, inspired and guided not by lectures or advice or words of instruction, but by the powerful example you live and breathe every single day. They are watching you, learning from you, drawing strength from your courage and determination. This profound journey has revealed something much deeper and more significant than mere personal growth or self-improvement. It has uncovered the true essence of what a genuine soul connection really means. So many people hold misconceptions about soul connections, believing they are only about romance, passion, or intense attraction. But what you have experienced together demonstrates that a true soul connection is far more profound and multifaceted than that superficial understanding. A genuine soul connection does not merely offer comfort, safety, or pleasant companionship. It challenges you in ways that are sometimes uncomfortable and difficult. It reflects back to you your deepest wounds, your hidden fears, your unhealed traumas. It pushes you relentlessly to grow into the absolute best version of yourself, even when that growth feels painful or overwhelming. A soul connection has the extraordinary power to turn your entire world upside down, to shake you to your very core, and to systematically unravel everything you thought you knew about yourself, about love, about relationships, about life itself. But in that process of unraveling, in that temporary chaos and confusion, it makes you infinitely stronger, wiser, and more whole than you ever were before. It strips away the false layers, the masks, the pretenses, and reveals the truth of who you really are underneath all of that protective armor. You and your partner have come to understand, through lived experience rather than abstract theory, that this bond you share is not just about being together physically or romantically. It is fundamentally about evolving together, growing together, transforming together. It is about becoming mirrors for one another, reflecting both the light and the shadows, the beauty and the brokenness, and finding unexpected strength and wisdom in that sometimes brutal but always honest process. This connection has taught you both that true love, real love, authentic love, is not about dependency, neediness, or clinging to another person out of fear of being alone. It is about empowerment, mutual support, and helping each other become stronger, wiser, and more complete. True love is about standing side by side as two whole individuals, complete within yourselves, and consciously choosing to share your lives in a way that uplifts and strengthens both parties. It is about partnership between equals, not between one strong person and one weak person, not between a rescuer and someone who needs rescuing. Your story together is not simply about achieving independence or healing codependency patterns, though those are certainly important elements. At its heart, your story is about profound transformation, about discovering that when you fully step into your own power and claim your own strength, you not only change your own life in remarkable ways, but you also inspire and influence the lives of those closest to you. You become a catalyst for their growth and healing as well. This is the true magic, the genuine miracle of a soul connection. It does not just make you fall in love in the conventional, romantic sense. It makes you rise into the fullest, most authentic, most powerful version of yourself. It elevates you, challenges you, refines you, and ultimately transforms you into someone you might not even recognize when you look back at who you were before this connection entered your life. It takes tremendous courage and a great deal of time to finally admit what I am about to say and to be completely honest with myself about how I truly feel inside, about what really lives in my heart beneath all the protective layers I have built up over the years. For the longest time, far longer than I care to admit, I kept my deepest emotions carefully hidden away, locked behind walls of fear and self-protection, because I had convinced myself that silence was strength, that holding everything inside was somehow noble or admirable. But I have come to realize, through painful experience and hard-won wisdom, that real strength, genuine strength, lies not in silence but in honesty and vulnerability. True courage is found in opening up and letting yourself be seen, even when it feels terrifying. I do not want to carry this heavy weight alone anymore. I am tired of suffering quietly in the shadows of unspoken feelings, of unexpressed love, of words that desperately need to be said but remain trapped inside me. Holding everything in has only made me more distant from myself, more disconnected from my own heart and soul. It has stopped me from showing you the true depth of love and gratitude that I genuinely hold in my heart for you, feelings that deserve to be expressed and shared rather than hidden away like shameful secrets. Today, right now, in this very moment, I have decided that it is finally time to speak, to let the truth breathe freely, and to allow my emotions to find their voice at last. When I look back on my life, especially during the darkest and most painful moments I have endured, I cannot ignore or minimize the profound impact you had on me. You were there, truly present and supportive, when I was going through one of the most horrible tragedies of my life, a time when everything felt like it was falling apart. In moments when I felt like I was literally breaking apart, shattering into a million pieces, you became my anchor, my lifeline, the one solid thing I could hold on to. You reminded me gently but firmly that strength is not about being unshaken or invulnerable, but about rising again and again after being torn down, about getting back up even when everything in you wants to stay down. Your encouragement carried me through days when I could barely summon the energy to keep going, and your words gave me the courage to stand again when all I wanted to do was fall, to give up, to stop trying. I may not always say it out loud, I may not express it as often as I should, but I will never forget how much you helped me survive that terrible time. Your presence, your support, your love quite literally saved me. No matter how much physical distance grows between us, no matter how much time seems to slip away or how long the silence between us stretches, your love continues to hold a special and irreplaceable place in my life and in my heart. Even when we are separated by miles or circumstances, even when days or weeks pass without communication, your words echo within me constantly, reminding me that I am not alone in this world and that I am capable of far more than I often think or believe about myself. Distance may create temporary silence and separation, but it absolutely cannot erase the profound bond we share. This is a bond that feels completely unshakable, a connection built not only on romantic love but also on truth, resilience, mutual respect, and an unspoken understanding that goes far beyond words. It is something I will always carry with me, deep in my heart, something that time, distance, or circumstances cannot ever destroy or diminish. I often find myself imagining, daydreaming about, the day when you are finally near me again, when the distance between us finally collapses and disappears. The day when we no longer have to rely on words transmitted through messages or phone calls, when we can finally be in the same physical space together. I imagine us standing together face to face at last, finally saying I love you in person and feeling the warmth and power of those words take on a life of their own in the air between us. That moment, whenever it comes, will mean more than anything else in the world to me because it will not just be words spoken casually or habitually. It will be the culmination of everything we have endured together and separately, everything we have held inside and carried alone, and everything we have been patiently waiting for through all this time apart. The truth is, I feel everything just as deeply and intensely as you do. The only real difference between us is that you possess this incredible, beautiful gift of expressing your love so openly, so eloquently, in ways that flow effortlessly and naturally from your heart like water from a spring. You have this remarkable way of painting your feelings in words that make them feel alive, vivid, tangible. And I admire that about you more than I can adequately express. For me, it has always been harder, more difficult, more uncomfortable. I struggle deeply to put my emotions into words, especially when it comes to matters of the heart, to feelings of love and vulnerability. I get lost in the intensity of my feelings, overwhelmed by them, and instead of letting them out and expressing them, I bury them deep inside where they sit heavy and unspoken. For so long, for far too many years, I have suppressed what I truly feel. And because of that long-standing pattern, it has now become genuinely difficult and uncomfortable for me to say out loud what I so desperately want you to know and understand. But the truth, when I strip away all the fear and all the self-protection, is simple and pure. I love you. Deeply, completely, without reservation. And I love the way you never hesitate to share your feelings with me, the way you open your heart without fear or shame.